The voicemail was only 7 seconds long, but it ended my marriage before I finished listening to it. I was in my car, parked outside the grocery store, keys still in the ignition, when my phone buzzed with a notification I didn't expect. Missed call, unknown number. Then the voicemail icon appeared. I almost ignored it. I was tired, hungry, thinking about chicken breasts and whether we were out of olive oil. Normal thoughts, safe thoughts. I hit play. At first there was nothing but muffled sound, fabric brushing against a microphone. Then a woman laughed, not a stranger's laugh. I knew that laugh. I'd heard it when she was half asleep, when she burned dinner, when she thought she'd won an argument. My wife's laugh. Then a man's voice, close, low, intimate. Relax, he won't know. And then my wife again, quieter now, smiling through the words. He never checks. The voicemail cut off. I sat there gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers went numb, staring at the grocery store doors sliding open and closed as people walked out with carts and kids and balloons, completely unaware that my life had just split cleanly in half. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 37 years old. I've been married to Olivia for 9 years. Together for 12. We live in a suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, in a house with gray siding and white trim, the kind of place real estate listings describe as perfect for a growing family. We don't have kids. We have a dog, a mortgage, and a reputation among our friends as the stable couple. Up until that voicemail, I believed that reputation. I replayed it once, twice, 5 times. Each time my chest tightened a little more, like a ratchet clicking into place. The words didn't change. The tone didn't change. The certainty in her voice didn't change. He never checks. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the dashboard like men do in movies. I sat very still and felt something drain out of me, something warm and naive that I hadn't realized I was still carrying. I checked the call log. The number wasn't saved, no name, just 10 digits. I copied it and pasted it into a notes app with the date and time. 4:12 p.m., a weekday. Olivia was supposed to be at work. I went into the store like nothing had happened. I walked the aisles. I picked up chicken, olive oil, coffee. I nodded at a neighbor I barely knew. My hands moved on autopilot while my brain replayed the voicemail over and over, dissecting every syllable. By the time I got home, I had made a decision that would shape everything that came after. I was not going to confront her. Not yet. Olivia got home an hour later, breezing through the door with her usual energy, heels clicking, hair pulled back, phone already in her hand. She leaned down to kiss me, lips brushing my cheek, and I had to fight the instinct to flinch. "Hey," she said, "smells good." "Just started," I replied. My voice sounded normal. That surprised me. She dropped her bag on the chair, kicked off her shoes, and immediately launched into a story about a coworker messing up a presentation. Names, details, frustration, all the things she had apparently stopped saying somewhere else. I watched her face as she talked, the expressions, the easy confidence, the comfort of someone who believed she was safe. At no point did she mention leaving work early. At no point did she hesitate. At no point did she look like someone hiding anything. That night we ate dinner across from each other like we had hundreds of times before. She scrolled through her phone while chewing, showing me a video of our dog from earlier in the day. I laughed in the right places. I asked the right questions. I was very careful not to say too much. When she went upstairs to shower, I sat at the table long after my plate was empty, staring at the wood grain, listening to the water run, and thinking about the man in the voicemail. Who was he? And more importantly, how long had I never checked? I didn't sleep much that night. Olivia curled into me like she always did, one arm draped across my chest, breathing slow and even. I lay awake, staring into the dark, replaying the last few months through a new lens. The late nights, the sudden privacy with her phone, the way she'd started turning it face down on the table, the way she'd grown oddly calm during arguments, like someone who had already emotionally relocated. In the morning, I did something I'd never done before. I checked our shared calendar. We'd synced them years ago for convenience. Appointments, birthdays, trips, nothing secret. Olivia had insisted on it back then. Transparency, she'd said, smiling. Her workday looked normal. Meetings. Lunch blocked out. A vague entry at 3 p.m. Out. Out where? I checked the voicemail timestamp again. 4:12 p.m. I didn't call the number back. That would have been impulsive. Instead, I did something far more dangerous. I started paying attention. Over the next 2 weeks, I became an expert on Olivia's habits. Not in a creepy way, not following her around or checking her phone when she slept. I just noticed. She left work early on Tuesdays. Always had a reason. A migraine, a long lunch meeting, a client in town. She started wearing a necklace she never wore before. Simple gold chain, nothing flashy, but it never came off. She showered immediately when she got home on those days. Not always, just those days. And every Tuesday, between 3:30 and 5:30, her phone went quiet. No texts, no replies, no scrolling. Out. I still didn't confront her. I didn't accuse. I didn't even ask. I let her believe I was exactly who she thought I was. Predictable, trusting, passive. He never checks. I wanted to know how far that belief went. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. One Tuesday afternoon, Olivia texted me around 2:45. Running late. Don't wait up for dinner. There it was, the familiar phrasing, casual, preemptive. I replied, no worries. Drive safe. Then I waited 10 minutes, and I did check. I opened the location sharing app we'd both agreed to years earlier and rarely used anymore. Her dot appeared almost instantly. Not at work, not on the road. At a small hotel near the river, one I knew well because my company had hosted a conference there the year before. A hotel with a side entrance that didn't face the main street. My heart didn't race this time. It sank, heavy and solid. I took screenshots. 1, 2, 3, each with timestamps. Then I did something I hadn't planned to do at all. I got in my car. I didn't drive fast. I didn't blast music. I didn't even feel angry yet. I felt focused, like I was moving toward a truth that had already decided to exist, whether I saw it or not. I parked across the street from the hotel, engine off, hands resting loosely on my knees. I waited. At 4:58, the side door opened. Olivia walked out first. She looked different, not guilty, relaxed, lighter, like someone leaving a place where they were fully themselves. A man followed her, early 40s maybe, well-dressed, familiar posture. He touched her arm as he spoke. She smiled up at him, the smile she used to reserve for me. They stopped near the curb. He leaned in, kissed her cheek. She laughed softly and said something I couldn't hear. Then she checked her phone. My phone buzzed in my hand. On my way home now, I watched her type it. I watched her walk to her car. I watched her leave. I didn't follow her. I didn't confront the man. I didn't even get out of the car. I sat there staring at the hotel door and understood something with absolute clarity. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't a mistake. This was a system, and systems can be dismantled. I went home and greeted her with a smile. I kissed her hello. I asked about her day. She answered effortlessly. That night, as she slept beside me, I opened my laptop and began building a file. Dates, times, screenshots, patterns, and one name I hadn't learned yet. But I would, because when I finally spoke, I wasn't going to ask questions. I was going to deliver facts. And when the truth came out, it wasn't going to destroy me. It was going to destroy the life she thought she was managing. I named the file Utilities. It felt appropriate. Something boring. Something invisible. Something no one would ever open unless they were looking for something mundane. Inside it, I started building a timeline of my wife's other life with the same methodical care I used at work when I audited supply chains. Dates, locations, screenshots, notes written in plain language, no emotion. I didn't want drama in the file. I wanted clarity. The strangest part was how quickly the shock gave way to routine. Once you accept that someone is lying to you, the lies stop feeling personal. They become data points. Olivia's Tuesdays were consistent. Her excuses rotated just enough to feel organic. Her affection at home never dipped. If anything, she became warmer, more relaxed, like someone who had relieved a pressure valve elsewhere. That hurt more than I expected. There's a special kind of cruelty in realizing your partner is kinder to you because they're betraying you, as if the affair lubricates the marriage just enough to keep it from squeaking. 2 weeks passed, then 3. I learned the rhythms of her other relationship without ever hearing a single detail from her mouth. The hotel by the river wasn't the only place. Sometimes it was a parking garage near a medical plaza. Once it was a house, a quiet ranch-style place in a neighborhood of identical mailboxes and trimmed hedges. I recognized it instantly as someone's real home, not a rental. That one made my throat tighten. I never drove past the house. I didn't need to. The dot on the map was enough. I also learned something else. She wasn't just cheating physically. She was emotionally present somewhere else in a way she no longer was with me. Her laughter at home was real, but it was thinner. Her stories were polished, edited. She talked to me like someone performing a role she'd rehearsed. One night, we sat on the couch watching a show we'd both lost interest in. Olivia leaned against me, scrolling on her phone. I caught a glimpse of a name on the screen before she angled it away. Mark. Not the man from the voicemail then. Or maybe it was. Maybe the number that had left the voicemail belonged to someone else. Someone careless. Or maybe there were two of them. The thought didn't even shock me. It just slid into place. "How's work?" I asked casually. She sighed, locking her phone. "Busy, you know how it is." There it was again, the summary. I nodded. "You ever feel like you're just maintaining things instead of living them?" She looked at me sharply, then masked it with a small smile. "That's kind of dark for a Tuesday night." "Just thinking," I said. She studied my face for a second, like she was checking for something. Then she relaxed. "You worry too much." Maybe. Or maybe I just finally started worrying about the right things. The name from the voicemail still bothered me. Unknown number. A man close enough to her to answer her phone, and confident enough to do it without panic. That suggested familiarity, comfort, arrogance. I went back to the voicemail and listened again, this time with headphones, volume turned up. I focused on the background sounds, the faint echo, the clink of glass, the hum of conversation, a bar, or a hotel room with music playing. Hard to tell. The man's voice was calm, not rushed, not drunk. He sounded like someone used to getting what he wanted. "Relax, he won't know." That line stayed with me. Not because it was insulting, but because it revealed how Olivia had framed me. I wasn't a threat. I wasn't someone to fear. I was a variable she'd already solved for. That realization did something dangerous to my patience. I still didn't confront her, but I started taking steps that had nothing to do with her at all. I met with a lawyer. I didn't tell Olivia. I framed it as a consultation about estate planning, which wasn't a lie, just an incomplete truth. I wanted to understand what divorce would look like if it came to that, what my options were, what documentation mattered, what mistakes people made when emotions ran ahead of strategy. The lawyer was a woman in her early 50s, with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor. She listened without interrupting as I explained, hypothetically, that I believed my spouse might be having an affair. "Do you have proof?" she asked. "I have evidence," I said carefully. She nodded. "Good. Don't confront yet." I looked up. "You didn't even ask what kind." "I don't need to," she said. "Confrontation before preparation is how people lose leverage." The word sat heavy in the air. Leverage. It sounded cold, calculated, but it was also honest. She explained what documentation mattered: financial records, timelines, communications if legally obtained. She reminded me not to access anything protected by passwords that weren't mine, not to record conversations without consent, not to do anything that could be framed as harassment or surveillance. "Let them underestimate you," she said. "It's usually their biggest mistake." When I left her office, I didn't feel empowered. I felt sober, like someone had taken a foggy situation and snapped it into focus. At home, Olivia was in the kitchen, humming to herself as she chopped vegetables. She looked up when I walked in and smiled. "You're late," she said. "Work thing," I replied. She nodded, accepting it without question. The irony wasn't lost on me. A few days later, something unexpected happened. She asked me a question. "Do you trust me?" We were in bed, lights off, her voice quiet in the dark. The question didn't sound offensive. It sounded curious. Yes, I said after a beat. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. Good. I stared at the ceiling, my heart pounding. That was the moment I understood something important. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about validation, about reassurance. She wanted to know she was still safe, that her system still worked. I decided then that when this ended, it wouldn't be with me yelling or crying or begging. It would be with her realizing, too late, that the man she thought was predictable had been paying attention all along. The opportunity to identify the man came by accident. One Saturday morning, Olivia left her phone on the kitchen counter while she ran upstairs to grab something. It buzzed. I wasn't going to pick it up. I didn't need to. But the notification banner slid across the screen before I could look away. Mark. Same time Tuesday? My pulse stayed steady. That surprised me. I took a photo of the notification with my own phone, making sure the time and date were visible. Then I stepped back as if nothing had happened. When she came back downstairs, she grabbed her phone and smiled at something on the screen. She didn't notice my stillness. Tuesday, I already knew what that meant. That night after she fell asleep, I searched Mark with the same process I'd used before. It took longer. There were more marks than grams. But patterns helped narrow things down. Location tags, mutual followers, photos at the same hotel. I found him on LinkedIn first. Mark Ellison, Regional Sales Director, Medical Devices, Medical Devices. The same industry my company operated in, adjacent but not overlapping. Close enough to meet at conferences. Close enough to know the hotels by the river. He was married, 2 kids. His profile photo showed him smiling in front of a lake, arm around a woman with blonde hair and a familiar jawline. Claire. I recognized her from Graham's profile. That's when the last piece clicked into place. This wasn't a triangle, it was a square. Olivia, Mark, Graham, Claire, 2 married couples, 2 affairs, intertwined. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen, and felt something close to awe at the complexity of it. The coordination, the mutual silence, the confidence required to juggle that many lies without dropping one. They weren't just cheating, they were colluding. I didn't know the full shape of it yet, but I knew enough to understand that this wasn't going to end cleanly for any of them. I took screenshots, saved profiles, documented connections. I didn't reach out to anyone. Not Mark, not Claire, not Graham, not yet. Because revenge, I was learning, isn't about speed, it's about timing. And Tuesday was coming. Tuesday arrived dressed like any other day. Gray sky, cold air, Olivia complaining about traffic while she poured coffee. She wore the gold necklace. She always did on Tuesdays. I noticed everything now, the way a person does when they finally accept that noticing is the only power they have left. Long day, she said, already tired in advance. Want me to make dinner? I asked. She smiled, quick and relieved. That'd be amazing. I might be late. There it was, the permission slip, the exit. I nodded. No problem. She kissed my cheek, grabbed her bag, and left like she always did, confident that the story was already written. I waited 15 minutes. Then I checked. Her dot moved exactly where I expected it to. Not straight to the hotel this time. First a coffee shop near downtown. Then after 20 minutes, the familiar slide toward the river. I didn't follow her. Not physically. I didn't need to. I had something else to do. I opened my laptop and logged into an account I hadn't touched in years. Facebook. I searched Claire Ellison. Her profile was public. That alone told me something about her. People who believe their lives are stable don't lock things down. They don't feel hunted. Her page was full of normal things. Kids at soccer practice, family vacations, smiling selfies with Mark at weddings and fundraisers, posts about gratitude, about balance, about choosing joy. I scrolled slowly, methodically, the way you would examine evidence laid out on a table. There were gaps, weeks where Mark was absent from photos, captions like solo parenting tonight paired with a smiley face, a post from 3 months ago. Some days are harder than others, but we keep going. I felt a dull ache in my chest that surprised me. Not for myself, for her. Claire didn't know yet. Or if she did, she didn't know the scale of it. She didn't know her husband wasn't just having an affair, but participating in something larger, messier, more deliberate. I opened a new document and added another section to the utilities file. Connections, names, relationships, dates. Then I closed the laptop. I wasn't ready to pull any triggers. I needed one more thing. I needed confirmation that Olivia knew about Claire. Because cheating is one thing, but cheating while smiling at the person you're helping deceive? That's a different level of betrayal. Olivia came home just after 8, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. She looked satisfied, content in a way she hadn't looked with me in months. "Hey," she said, slipping off her coat. "Sorry, everything ran long." "Busy day?" I asked. She laughed softly. "You have no idea." She went upstairs to shower. I stood in the kitchen listening to the water, wondering if she was washing off guilt or just the smell of someone else. At dinner, she talked more than usual. About nothing. About everything. Her words spilled easily, like she was buoyed by something unseen. "Do you ever think about moving?" she asked suddenly. "Where?" I said. "I don't know. Somewhere new. Fresh start." The phrase landed heavy between us. "Why?" I asked. She shrugged. "Just a thought." I nodded, taking a bite of chicken that tasted like cardboard. "We could talk about it." She smiled, reassured. The future, it seemed, was still a concept she felt entitled to plan. That night after she fell asleep, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I didn't touch it. I watched the screen light up, saw the name, saw the preview. "Graham, Claire's out of town next week. We're good." There it was. My hands didn't shake this time. My breath didn't hitch. Olivia wasn't just cheating. She was coordinating schedules. She was aware of the other wife. She was actively participating in a shared deception. I took a photo of the notification from a distance, careful not to wake her, then lay back down and stared into the dark. Something hardened inside me then. Not anger, not hatred, resolve. The next phase began quietly. I stopped being available, not dramatically, not in a way she could point to. Just small shifts. I stayed later at work. I went to the gym alone. I took Benny on longer walks. I became just distracted enough to feel different. She noticed. "Everything okay?" she asked one evening, watching me from the couch. "Yeah," I said. "Just busy." She nodded, but her eyes lingered on me longer than usual. She was recalibrating, checking the system. A week later, she did something that sealed her fate. She lied unnecessarily. We were getting ready for bed when she mentioned, casually, "Claire texted me today." My heart skipped, but my face didn't change. "About what?" "Just stuff. Kids. Holidays. You know." I nodded slowly. "That's nice." She smiled, satisfied, and went to brush her teeth. Claire hadn't texted her. I knew because Claire had posted earlier that day about being off the grid for a few days, visiting her sister. No phone, no distractions. Olivia had lied not to cover the affair, but to normalize the connection, to make the other woman feel like a harmless background character. That was the moment I stopped seeing Olivia as someone who had made bad choices and started seeing her as someone who believed she was smarter than the consequences. I reached out to Claire that night, not directly. I created a new email address, neutral, untraceable. I wrote and deleted the message 5 times before settling on something simple. "I know about Mark. I'm sorry. You deserve the truth. If you want proof, say the word." I didn't include my name. I didn't include details. I sent it and closed the laptop, heart pounding not with fear, but anticipation. The reply came 2 days later. One sentence. "What proof?" I stared at the screen for a long time before responding. I sent screenshots, dates, locations, names. I sent the voicemail. I sent everything. Then I waited. The silence stretched for hours. Then a day. When Claire finally replied, the message was long, rambling, broken in places. She hadn't known. Not really. She'd suspected. Gut feelings, late nights, distance. But she'd convinced herself she was imagining things. I recognized that impulse intimately. She asked who I was. I told her. I told her everything. We didn't talk on the phone. We didn't need to. The truth did the talking for us. Claire confronted Mark that night. I know because Olivia came home early, pale and shaken, phone clutched in her hand like it was radioactive. Daniel, she said, voice unsteady, we need to talk. I looked up from the table, calm, ready. Okay, I said. She sat down slowly, eyes searching my face. Someone contacted Claire. I said nothing. They sent her things, messages, proof. I folded my hands. And Mark is, everything's blowing up, she whispered. I don't know how they found out. I held her gaze. I do. Her eyes widened. What? I know, I said simply. The silence that followed was thick, heavy, irrevocable. Her mouth opened, then closed. Know what? All of it, I said. The voicemail, the hotels, Mark, Graham, Claire, Tuesdays. She stared at me like I'd just spoken another language. You checked, she said finally, voice sharp. You went through my things? I paid attention, I replied. She stood abruptly, pacing. This is insane, you're twisting things. I smiled then, not kindly. He answered your phone, Olivia. She froze. You didn't even bother to make sure I was asleep. Her shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of her all at once. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said weakly. I nodded. I know. That seemed to confuse her. You do. Yes, I said. You meant to protect yourself. She sank into the chair, face in her hands. What are you going to do? I stood. I already did it, I said. She looked up, fear blooming in her eyes. I told the truth, I continued, to the only person who didn't have it. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it. Her face crumpled. Claire. I picked up my jacket, keys in hand. I'll be staying somewhere else tonight, I said. The papers will be filed this week. She reached for me, desperate. Daniel, please. I stepped back. You never checked, I said quietly. You never thought I would. And then I left. Not angry, not broken, just finished.